Where does the four-wheel underground suspension shine more? Creeping, crawling on the Rubicon, or going crazy fast out on Johnson Valley desert floor?
Yeah, good question. It honestly does great in both scenarios. Whether I'm going through the Rubicon or doing 50 to 60 miles an hour through washes at Johnson Valley, it's really impressive what the suspension does. I think that goes a lot to show how well it's engineered, how well the roll center is controlled, and how well the geometry all goes together. No matter what I'm doing, I feel stable. I feel predictable. It's fantastic.
That makes a lot of sense because they are designed to be great on and off road.
That's true. I do drive the rig to and from the trails as well. And I noticed on tight, windy mountain roads, I don't feel like I'm throwing the body off the chassis anymore. I just have one question.
What's that?
When are we putting some four-wheel underground parts underneath Samantha?
Soon, very soon. And I'm excited to do so. And if you are looking to move your vehicle from leaf springs to a linked suspension kit, make sure to check out fourwheelunderground.com.
Hey, Jimmy, do you use any mapping software when you go off-roading?
Yeah, I use Onyx Off-Road.
Oh, nice. I do too. Have you been seeing the updates they've been sending out recently?
Yeah, the maps are changing. They're getting rid of that green spaghetti and they're changing it up to something a little bit more colorful.
Yeah, as much as I love the neon spaghetti that was on there, they're actually making a really cool update that's going to make all the trails colored based on difficulty ratings, which makes it easier to explore the trails around you.
Yeah, I know how much you love the neon green, but I think this is a good feature for them because now not only can you find a trail near you, but you can actually get an idea of its difficulty.
It is. It's a really nice change. That's one of the reasons why I like Onyx Off-Road and I've been enjoying using them is they're always looking for ways to make the app better. They're always rolling out updates, which all of them just makes things easier for when you're going out and exploring the trails around you.
So if you want to go out and explore and find trails near you, make sure to download the app Onyx Off-Road. Welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, maybe poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and, of course, hearing about how fun Canadians can be in Jeeps, then this is the podcast for you. How's it going, everybody? I'm Jimmy Jet, and welcome to episode 496. We are creeping ever so closer to that episode 500, which we still have no idea what we're going to do. But this week, I do believe Tyler and I are going to have some free time, and we are going to be able to sit down and organize all these things that we have, all these low-hanging fruits that we have. And we should be able to have some answers maybe on Thursday's episode. We will see. I had such a wonderful time hanging out with the Canadians at the RubiTracks Invitational that I wanted to get these guys on the mics. And it was a lot of fun, man. They picked on each other, bickered like old men and women, and like they were married forever. And you could totally tell that they went out and wheeled a whole bunch together, went on their long overlanding trips because they are overlanders. And they had two uniquely different vehicles, but they were still both Jeeps. One was a JL and one was a JT. So I wanted to get them on. I wanted them to talk a little bit about themselves. What are the chances that I'm ever going to be able to sit down with these guys again and get there on the mics in person? So I took the opportunity and was able to do so. So before we get to that, though, I do have a little bit of housekeeping that I want to get to. I'll be really brief because we did go slightly long on this episode, on this interview. So let's just jump right into it. Gift boxes are out. They are out in the wild. I've seen people sending photos, sending me pictures, sending me messages about how great this one was. And we are super excited to be able to share this gift box with you guys. Maybe this Thursday, Tyler and I will go over the contents of the gift box. And then you can make your decision if you want to get in for the next one, for Jim's month. But do remember that you have to make your decision by the end of this month. So you need to sign up for the gift box tier this month if you want to be able to receive a gift box from us in November, because we lock it down and you are required to stay in the gift box tier every single month until the gift box tier opens again. And that's also when we send out the next rounds of gifts. So if you want to get a gift from us, You need to sign up this month. You cannot wait. You need to do it now, or maybe once the episode finishes, one or the other. So besides gift boxes, we're always accepting reviews. We will be going over a whole bunch of reviews here in the future and trying to catch ourselves back up. We'll probably just do a whole listener feedback episode, maybe a snail mail listener feedback episode. I don't know how we're going to pull that one off. But in regards to reviews, once we reach 750 reviews on Apple Podcast, we are giving away a set of tires from Yokohama. So almost any tire that you want, any style, brand, or not brand, you have to get it from Yokohama, but any style that Yokohama makes, you can grab. They have to be less than a 20-inch rim and DOT approved. Otherwise, it's free reign. Any of those tires are available. We are going to be doing snail mails once again, and that number is area code 916-345-4744. If you want to leave us a voicemail and hear yourself played out on the podcast and have Tyler and I give you some feedback or reviews, or even if you want to use us as a way to advertise something that's going on in your neck of the woods, you can always call us and leave a voicemail. The phone number goes straight to voicemail. We're never going to pick it up. But then we will play your voicemail on a future episode of Snail Mail. So if that's something you guys are interested in, please leave a phone number or leave us a voicemail at 916-345-4744. All that information is also down in the show notes, so you don't need to worry about memorizing it. It's down there for you to grab. I just got back from Cruise Moab. I am pre-recording this, so hopefully everything went well, and the winch that I installed worked phenomenal out on Pritchett. If I ended up needing it, I will give you guys more updates on all that information here soon. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to get episodes out while I'm out there. It's sort of something I'm considering trying, but I'm not sure how it's going to work out. So I'm not going to tell anything. I don't know if you've actually heard all of it already. I'm not sure how that all went, because that's in the future for me, but in the past for you. Besides the wonderful event of Cruise Moab, next real event coming up for us is June 1st, Marlin Crawler Celebration of Life down in Clovis Rodeo Fairgrounds. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a car show, and we're all going to be there to celebrate the Chakowski family and everything that Marlin did for this community of the off-roaders. So if you are a Toyota driver, if you're a Jeep driver and you used to have a Toyota, if you like the invention of dual cases, then this is an event for you guys to come out to and have some fun at. So come on out to the Clovis Rodeo Fairgrounds and celebrate Marlin Crawler's Celebration of Life with us. All right. Well, I think that's good enough for today. Let's jump over to this interview with two crazy Canadians that were in love with Kraken and Diet Coke. So those are the drinks you guys are going to be needing to drink today for this wonderful interview. So now that you're getting your drinks, let's just jump over to a quick message from Brian, and we'll be right back with the interview.
The Four Wheel Underground website just got an upgrade. Come on by and check out the new functionality, new photos, and new pricing. Finally works on mobile too. Visit fourwheelunderground.com and find your new suspension today.
What up, everybody? Welcome back. I've got two more Canadians on the line. Let's see. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Kyle. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. On social media, I have accounts on YouTube and Instagram that go by High Ground by Nightfall.
And I am Duane from Just Jeeping Adventures, and I also have social with Just Jeeping Adventures on Instagram and TikTok even.
Oh, wow.
And YouTube.
Okay. TikTok.
Yeah, I didn't know you're on TikTok.
I am on TikTok.
Are you doing those dances or?
No, I don't do the
it's
dances.
Jeeping content.
No, I thought it was PG here.
Oh, right.
We can talk about our dances, but
we can be more than PG. We're allowed to be more than PG.
Okay.
That's for sure. Especially if there's dancing stories.
Okay.
I might want to hear this.
I thought this podcast was about crack and booty.
Well, that's what's in that glass.
Yes. and on my shirt.
Oh yeah. A simple man. I like it. Cool. Well, I wanted to give you guys a moment to shine. I wanted to talk about everything we've had going on today. I'm up here for a day trip with RubiTracks, and you guys did a long trip down here to hang out with me, of course.
Yeah, of course it was.
Oh yeah,
primarily because of you.
Absolutely, yes. And it was a pleasure meeting you guys. I'm stoked that you guys made the trip down. How was the trip down?
Yeah, we took different routes.
Okay.
So I think we had different adventures.
I think they call it route here.
Well, I'm
Same
Canadian, so yeah, we had slightly different experiences. Mine was pretty scenic. I took the I-5 to the Eugene and then crossed over and had some awesome camping on the way here solo. I towed my trailer, which I put the tracks in the back of, and eventually I'm going to outfit for some long distance stuff. And then we met up here. Duane and Chris had a much different experience, I think, though, on their trip. It was about a 14-hour drive or 15-hour drive, I think. 18-hour.
18-hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
For you. For me, it was a 14-hour drive.
Yeah, it was an 18-hour drive, a long drive. And our was not without adventure, that's for sure. I like adventuring, but this was just another level. On the road, so we blew out 2 tires on the trailer. And my buddy owns the trailer, and he had 4 tires previous put on maybe 3 months ago, and they were 10-ply, which we did not know, and it wasn't equivalent. It wasn't equipped for the weight that the Jeep weighs. Yeah, the Jeep was a little bit of a fatty. So, but we blew out 2 tires, and then we ended up buying 4 new tires. Then I got pulled over by the police with no trailer. We had no truck.
Weren't you just
attached to the trailer.
sitting on the side of the road? You were in the Jeep on the back of the trailer,
That's
and
exactly
there's
what I
no
was
truck attached to the trailer.
That's exactly what I was doing. I was just playing on my Instagram.
He posts a video in the Snapchat in the group chat, and it's just the flashing lights behind him. And I'm like, this just went from bad to worse.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, man, would you guys get pulled over for? I'm like, if you guys really looked at the video, I'm actually in my Jeep, and it was obviously I was on a trailer. So
yeah.
but we did that, and then we got stopped by what you guys called chain control.
Yeah.
What's
right?
up with chain control? Can we just have a moment to talk about this for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
I love my American brethren, but in Canada, we don't put the chains on when it's pavement. Y'all here in California, I'm going to say y'all because I think I'm trying to relate to the audience that's out here. No wonder your roads are in such trouble. You put in chains, you got a mile long. Yeah, I'm just glad I didn't take that way because
it was brutal.
So I've got a really, really good buddy of mine who's a CHP officer. I've known him since we were knee high. We grew up together. He went into that profession. Yeah, his first jobs was down in the Bay Area, and there was a guy driving up the freeway going about 35 miles an hour. And he pulled him over, and he pulled him over on the side of the road. He realized that he had chains on 3-4 hours away from the snow.
Wow.
And he put his chains on at home because there was chain control going on.
That's crazy. No wonder the roads are in disrepair. I mean, we never put chains on in any snow in Canada.
We get a lot of snow.
I loved your guys' stories watching the thread that we had on Instagram, and you're like, what the hell is up? And whoever was driving through Tahoe and was filming a truck just driving with chains out the back.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was.
I'm like,
Duane
this
and
guy was
Chris.
doing 60 miles an hour. That's about 90 kilometers in Canadian.
Yeah.
If any Canadians are watching or not watching, but listening.
We were also one of my favorite part about the group chat on the way down, aside from all the banter, was when Nick hopped on the webcam and was literally watching for these guys to come through chain control.
Yeah.
Watching in real time as they slowly move through chain control. Can you see me yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, can you see me? I'm looking for the, what do you call it? CTVs or CTV?
Yeah. It was like a highway webcam.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. It was a lot of fun watching that thread.
Yeah. So we had to put chains on. We
Yeah.
thought, you know what? I was just surprised. It was 0 snow on the road. It was a little bit icy, nothing crazy, but nothing that we're not used to.
Sure.
And I should have just put my Canadian passport up. Maybe they would let me pass. I don't know.
You probably could have flagged it out the window, and then they would have been like, oh yeah,
You get a pass.
you get a pass.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. So what happened after that? We put the chains on, which are noisy as heck. We did buy some last minute, what do you call it? Cables, I guess.
Okay.
Put
Yeah.
those on the trailer because the
Sure.
guy,
Yep. Yeah.
just in case.
You have to do both.
And so we put them on the trail on my buddy's truck, and the chains broke, or one of them broke, and then it ripped the back quarter panels off these fenders.
And the inner fenders are all toasted up too. It's you guys, they rolled in at probably 11 or 11:30, and I had been chilling in the alley cab at the staging area, and first thing I see is like, they're just like, look at this.
Oh
It
man.
was a mess. They're brutal. Yeah. So a little bit of repair needed on that, but yeah, thanks California.
Yeah. Geez, that's, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
But hey, I like California because look at the snow we're at today.
Yes.
And the
It's
last couple
amazing.
of days. Pretty epic.
It was a beautiful day today for sure.
That's maybe why they put the chains on so early, is how quickly we got to this level of snow is surprising.
Yeah. We've had a good dump this year. That's for sure. And you guys were in the thick of it for this last storm, but they are they are concerned about a lot of stupid drivers on the road, and they have to.
I get that.
Yeah, they have to worry about it, but it's Teslas.
Hey, wait a minute. You own a Tesla.
Can we move on from this, please?
I love it. Well, why don't we start with you? Why don't you explain your rig, what you drove here today? Give us a little rundown of what you have. And maybe there's some Jeep listeners on this Toyota podcast that would appreciate it.
Wait a minute. Is this a Toyota podcast or what?
He lied to us.
He lied to us. I thought it was a Jeep podcast.
Yes, both.
Okay. I'm going to start off with this, but I just raced somebody in a Toyota and I completely annihilated him because I'm a horsepower guy.
That's true. And you have a 2.0.
2.0 turbo, but it is modified. It's nothing
You raced
crazy.
a 22 RE, which is a 2.4.
Yes. Yeah. So have at it. So my rig is a 2021 Rubicon. And I always pick on Toyotas because they break a lot of stuff. I've broken a few things, but I do wheel my vehicle pretty hard, just like Kyle does. But I've got your standard, lift, wheels, tires, stuff like that. But it's a 3.5-inch lift. It's Terraflex, which is soon to be changed to AEV springs with Falcon adjustables. It's got reed hubs, RCB axles. It's re-geared 488. It's a pretty standard overland rig, I think, as far as, well, actually, no, I wouldn't say it's standard. It's got a kitchen, a full goose gear, rear seat delete, but it's got dual coolers, ice maker. And I know everybody's thinking, man, this guy is bougie at camp, right? But I'm not. My wife is.
They love to cook. They love to cook.
We do cook a lot. And you know what? Kyle he's a testament to this.
I like to eat.
He likes to eat. I like to eat too. I like to cook. And so does my wife. We do a lot of gourmet food.
Okay.
So if you're ever looking for something to watch and learn on cooking, you can watch our YouTube at Just Jeeping Adventures. But we do a little bit of everything. And we do all kinds of camping, like I guess the standard stuff like you would do in the summer, but we also do a lot of extreme winter camping. We've been in -15, -18. I don't know what that is in,
Yeah, no idea. Yep. That's Canuck units.
I don't know. It's pretty close. It's probably like, yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So enough that you have to put a heater on. And so I have a planter heater that's built into mounted to the side of the Jeep rather. It's got a full red arc system. It's got dual batteries with heaters on them, but it gets so cold that I added extra battery heaters to them. SFX, I believe they are. And there's a lot of stuff that you can podcast
without showing.
Maybe just look at it and I'll do a review video down the road. But it's got a standard rooftop tent. We just see, I guess that's the new light bar right now. So a lot of people put rooftop tents on.
So you're adding a light bar?
I'm going to.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm going to add one like yours, actually. I'm going to copy you. It's what kind of on yours?
How about you talk about your fuel system?
Fuel system. We had something a little bit interesting. So I have a guy, a West Coast Offroad. His name is Fab. We're great guys. And we installed it's called the Long Ranger fuel tank. It's pretty awesome, actually. I just installed it recently. And the reason being is we do a lot of long haul traveling. And you can only put so much. Mine being a JL, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but having a JL is limited in space. So you want to be super organized with, your space. Everything has to be really thought out, I guess. So we run a Long Ranger fuel tank. It has another 74 liters. I'm not sure what that is in US. 20 gallons, something like that. Let me put it this way. The factory fuel tank in a JL, I have another one of them on the left side.
Okay.
So I just have a press of a button and it just dumps into an auxiliary. It has an auxiliary fuel pump on the top, just pumps into the factory tank. So it only has one filler.
Right.
So,
okay.
Which is kind of nice. So
when you fill in your normal tank, it cycles back the other way too.
Like an overflow mechanism.
Okay. So it's a little bit, the only thing I don't like about it, it's great, but I wouldn't say I don't like about it. It's just something I get used to, I guess, is if you put $100 of fuel in it, for example, it goes half into your auxiliary and half into your regular
gotcha.
tank.
Yeah.
So if you want to put it full tank showing up on your bars, but you don't really need to, you press the button and it'll go up to full. But I pretty much most of the time now I'm going to just keep it full.
Right.
Yeah, it's about 200 pounds,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
roughly 200 pounds,
weight.
including the tank.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a pretty standard setup for these auxiliary tanks. Like
Yeah.
you ride motos and you run more than one tank, like in rally. It's it's all gravity fed like that, right? And you want
Yeah.
to disperse the weight evenly and everything. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I have a
awesome.
Land Cruiser buddy that has multiple tanks, and my Ford has multiple tanks that I cruised up to the
Okay.
staging area. And
I think that's honestly an essential for when you do long travel. I know Kyle and I were thinking about going to Alaska next year
oh,
yeah,
fun.
with the snow tracks. So, but
oh, really?
yeah,
That'll be badass.
that'll be
next year,
next
this
year.
year.
So
Li-
well,
Late this year.
without tracks, but the engine wise, I know a lot of people. I don't know if you're pretty much a Jeep guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
No.
I'm trying to,
You're trying to convert him on his
I'm
own
trying to convert him
podcast.
on his
His
own
listeners are
podcast.
going to abandon him here.
yeah. So yeah, no ban.
I really do think we have more Jeep listeners than we have Toyota listeners, even though we are like pretty diehard
Yeah.
Toyota
Let's
guys.
find out. All you out there listening right now,
Yeah.
if you like Jeeps, what can they do? Like give this a thumbs
They
up or
can.
something?
How about I'll post a photo when this episode's released,
Okay.
and if you drive a Jeep on Instagram on Snail Trail 4x4, and if you drive a Jeep, I'll put a caption
Comment
down below.
Jeep, and then
Yeah.
if you drive a Toyota, comment
Yeah,
Toyota.
or I'll ask you to put an emoji for one or the other.
There you
Look
go.
at the comments. So
That's
when this
interesting.
episode releases, there'll be a post on Instagram, and we'll see how many of what we have.
Well, I'm going to
find
tell you
out.
something interesting. You probably don't know this already, but I talked to Dimitri. He's from Stellar Built, and he's looking to buy a Jeep. That's what he says. I'm secretly trying to buy a Jeep.
Yeah.
So he asked me a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff about buying either a 3.6 or no,
You're
don't try to make
owning him?
excuses
Don't
for
own
him.
him.
He's
He's
looking
been
at a,
hinting at that for a year. So
okay. He's going to do it.
Yeah.
So he asked me a bunch of questions about the 2-liter, which a lot of people will always say to me, they'll say, why did you buy a 4-banger? Common car talk, I guess. You
Yeah.
guys call it like that too?
yeah, yeah,
4-banger.
sure. Yep.
So it's a inline 4 turbo. I love inline 4s because my other toys are inline 4 or inline 6, and they just handle horsepower a lot. I mean, straight up and down pistons, no,
Right.
no,
a lot of torque that
no
way.
stress, a lot
Mhm.
of torque. So I've on my 2-liter, I've done a small tune on it, and it's got a cold case radiator in it, which I will say this, and I don't know if Toyotas generally have overheating problems, but the Jeeps do.
Well, this one did
Yeah, yours did.
today.
But I run a heavy duty cold case radiator in it, and I run just a couple of small mods, nothing crazy on the engine side yet, but maybe down the road, who knows? But yeah, this has been a good road for me for Jeeps. And a lot of people say, man, I always have an engine light on the vehicles all the time, but I've never had an engine light on mine, other than when I take off the tires, put on the tracks, then I get this warning light that says, hey, you have no tire pressure. That's
Oh,
pretty
sure.
much it.
Yeah, your TPS sensors are off.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much
dash
it.
lights up like a Christmas tree because you got to
That's
disable
funny.
the ABS with the taser and stuff. So
Yeah, so
Rad.
so I've
That's
got
a
lot
good
of
build.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been great, and it's been dead reliable. And I wheel it pretty hard, and it's 2 years old. It's got 60,000 miles on it. So with Kyle, we go out pretty much every weekend, and we're not our average wheelers, I guess. As you probably noticed, my Jeep is matte white, not shiny white anymore.
Yeah, a little bit.
We got the BC pinstriping up there, right?
yeah.
they call it the Sierra pinstripes out here.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Sierra Mountain Range Sierras.
As long
And
as
so,
you
yeah.
got pinstripes, you're good to
We
go.
got it. Then we just call it the same thing.
Yeah.
Different
So,
names.
but you know what? This is it's been the Jeep's been good to me. I've got upgrades. Like I think everybody's vehicle, any rig, no matter if it's a Toyota or not, it's an ongoing process, you know? So I've got to do the control arms and a few other things I want to do, but I think that's just a part of, as you go out more, you want to add more things to make it even more bulletproof. So you don't
Sure.
have to worry about reliability. Right.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
I've always said, fix it with an upgrade. If it breaks, fix it with an upgrade. You know, if you put the same thing on there again, it's probably going to break again.
And,
So
and it is.
upgrade it.
I agree with you. When I went out last week, and the reason why I bought tracks is because we're the RubiTracks Invitational.
Dropped your phone.
Yeah. Whoops. So the reason
Those
why
Krakens are coming on strong.
Yeah, they are.
yeah, hey, this is the triple.
Yeah, he pours them strong. If Duane ever offers you a drink of Kraken, let me tell you, just say no.
You've tried Kraken.
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
you? Okay. That's a
Numerous
good drink.
times.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good rum.
But yeah, I think I lost my train of thought. Okay. On to Kyle.
You were on to Con.
On to Kyle.
Well, I wanted to give Kyle a moment to talk about his Gladiator.
Yeah. I really like my Gladiator. I got it a year ago, like last week. It was a birthday present to myself. And the reason I bought it was I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a stressful work life, and I used to go out all the time. I had a JK that I had built up and an X-Venture trailer, and I just hadn't been out during the pandemic and my son and stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go build my dream rig. And I researched, and what I really kind of fell in love with was the Jeep Gladiator platform. I decided to go with an eco diesel. So it's, I think, a 3-liter diesel engine. The first thing I did to it was get it lifted. I also did like the TerraFlex Falcon adjustable 3.5 inch lift. But my plans from the beginning were to get an alu cab. I really wanted an integrated kind of habitat camper system.
Okay.
And, when I looked at the ones on the market, it's just like alu cab just was above every other option, not necessarily for cost or weight. Like those are common arguments, but like just quality, like they're bomb proof. And honestly, I want to be able to bring my 7-year-old kid out with me environment.
Bomb proof like that.
Yeah. We'll get into the bumper later. Yeah. But so the first thing I did is I did the lift, and then I went down to Mule in Washington and got the alu cab installed. And on the way home, I found that the TerraFlex HD springs weren't too good. And I went on some trips. I had a lot of sag. So I ended up going to West Coast Offroaders, meeting up with Fab, who's now like probably one of my best friends in the world, I'd say. It helped me out with so many challenges I've had just in the last year. And we swapped out the rear springs to AEV. I did the full bumper winch system as well. I've got swing out bumpers. The swing out bumpers is an interesting thing. I had some real challenges with that in the beginning. Like Duane said, we wheeled them pretty hard. And with the swing out bumpers and the leverage, the two things you got to be worried about with Gladiators is obviously like in the early years, there was like frame bend issues. And the issue I was having was just oscillation with the rear tire carrier. And it was, I ended up cracking the tire carrier, but I worked with the company who makes them, and they've strengthened them, redesigned it, and sent it out. So I'm much happier with it now. What else have I done to it? So, the alu cab's pretty decked out. I've got 50 liters of water. I don't know what that is, probably 10 gallons, 11 gallons, something, legal units. I've got a full GP Factor Red Arc Manager 30 system. So it's full control, pre-built for the alu cab. 400 watts of solar. So I got 2 of the Red Arc solar panels, 400 amp hours of battery, which is quite significant. I'm pretty power hungry with like the filming, and I bring the laptops and everything. So I wanted to be completely off grid. So it can charge off the alternator, obviously the solar, or, I got a shore power hookup as well. The water tank is gravity fed. What else have I done to it? Yeah, recently I added a Trail Racks rack and a Pelican case up top. And then I tried a few different light bars, and the one that I settled on was the Baja Designs S3 light bar that has the amber running lights, which I really like that one because it just looks mean to have the running lights going all the time. And I'm a little tall. So yeah, it's been pretty reliable. I added a trailer, a 7x14 Stealth Alcom trailer to the mix.
He's bougie too.
Yeah. Well, the trailer was originally, I got it for the tracks. But it's like parking a bike in an aircraft carrier, just to use it for the track. So my goal over time is to build the trailer out for kind of more like a base camp situation. Okay. For long distance, but it's a much bigger trailer than I need just for the tracks. The whole thing's blacked out because the channel is high ground by nightfall. The kind of shtick is that the truck is blacked out like nightfall, and my
trailer will fit in his trailer.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Not the one you guys drove down this time.
He's the one that he usually takes out. Yeah. And so the whole channel was just about getting out with my kid. And then through that, I met people like Duane, met people like Scott, RubiTracks Invitational, meet you, Dimitri, Nick, all the boys. And yeah, it's been like a wild year of just building this truck up and meeting awesome people and just going.
Excellent. Yeah. And so from here, you're actually heading down to Baja.
Yeah. Like I said, I bought the truck a year ago. I turned 40 on Wednesday, and fun fact, we just found
birthday.
out. But what we just found out while we were here is 2 of the other guys are birthdays are tomorrow, and they were actually born in the same year on the same day, Dimitri and Brian, who's one of the guys with the lodge. And So but my birthday's on Wednesday, and it's been a dream of mine to go to Baja. It's also been a dream of mine to go to Alaska. And the thing I didn't mention that is probably the most important part of my truck is the Starlink. Actually, I'm really big on the Starlink, and
you both have that.
Yeah.
He's a bad influence.
Yeah.
I got it after he did because we have a small business and it's good to keep in touch.
Yeah.
And we also get on Instagram. Our socials.
I forgot.
I got it right off the bat, and then he was always on. He's like, I got to get my own, and it's just a must-have now.
I forgot who I pulled behind, one of you guys, and I just saw your Starlinks like spinning, like trying to find signal. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's on right now.
Well, like where I was going with that is like with the Starlink now, it's like I don't really have any excuses because I work on the internet. I can run my business. My wife and son are very supportive of the fact that I'm having a midlife crisis. So might as well get out there and get some. So I came down here, and the idea was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm already halfway there. Figure out somewhere to park the trailer and make the rest of the run, and just, get through that midlife crisis as quickly as possible on the beach, So
and some cervezas. That's beer in Spanish.
What was it?
Cerveza.
Oh, cerveza. Yeah, I know that one.
Okay.
Dos cerveza, por favor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
So how are we going to convert you from a Toyota to a Jeep? How do we do that?
I don't know. I've been a Toyota fan like my entire life. Actually, you don't know my truck, but my truck was my dream vehicle when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
So tell us what you have, because you're driving Tyler. Is it Tyler's?
Driving Tyler's 4Runner.
Yeah. And what do you have?
So I have a 1991 Toyota pickup.
Okay.
It's solid axle swapped. It had with a Toyota mini truck front axle. It's actually very similar to Nick's build.
Okay.
That's here. And then I run 37-inch tires, and it's spooled in the rear, Detroit in the front. So I'm always locked up.
Yeah.
All the T cases like Toyotas have, and it's quite a
what engine's in
build. 22 RE.
Oh, 22 RE. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a solid engine.
I mean, I think that's one of the big things. Like what I didn't mention about my truck was 37s as well.
Okay.
I
didn't ask tire sites because we're all on tracks
37
today.
Nitos. I just love I love the straight axle, and like they say it's a solid axle, but I don't know about that. Like what I found out, because my truck's quite heavy, I actually bent the axle housing not too long ago, and I found out that in these newer models of the Jeeps, what they're doing is actually a front axle disconnect, which is electronically controlled 3-part axle. So what happened is when I bent the axle housing, these little gears that kind of connect the passenger side axle to the main kind of like locker system or whatever, it kept stripping, and so it was a complete nightmare. What I've learned since then, I obviously went to RCVs. But what I've learned since then is you can apparently like flip the pin right out of the factory, and you can basically like force it to stay connected all the time, which isn't as good for fuel economy, but you don't want those stripping. So I don't get where like the Jeep platform's honestly going at this point with that kind of stuff, because it's like, especially in Canada, we get hammered by the fuel economy stuff. They're just dumbing everything down or shifting it to a point where it's so I mean, I think what's going to happen over the next couple of years is people are going to be, especially with the diesel and the Gladiator platforms getting kind of like phased out, is like people are going to go back and just buy these trucks that are older and build them up. And I think the Jeep community will look a lot more like what the Toyota has done, because I think you guys find these gems.
Yeah.
And then you like build them up, and you're not so worried about what's coming out of the factory, right?
Yes and no. I would say the rock crawling community buys the older vehicles because they're cheap, and if we lean it against a rock, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I do notice, that for the people that do have Toyotas, not all of them, but like the crazy rock crawling, I'll see them that tons of dents all over them.
Oh yeah,
because
we call it raisined.
Oh, is that what it's called?
it's a seasoned taco.
All wrinkly, right?
Yeah, but you know what? They have a purpose. We're trying to do more of not all purpose, but I've done the Moab. Have you done Moab?
Yeah, I've done Moab. Yeah, I mean, Duane's right. Our style of like overlanding is a little different. Like we do a lot of really technical stuff, but a lot of the trips that we go on, we'll go on for like 3 or 4 days, and we'll do 2,000, 2,500 kilometers, which I don't know, call it 1,000 miles.
I'll be more than that, but yeah.
You know, and like we're stopping at, different spots along the way, and it's about, quick packet, quick setup, quick tear down, cover a lot of distance, and but still very technical terrain, but it's technical terrain over a very long distance. And so like the way that we build our rigs are not super technical. They're kind of built for comfort and for long distance with like the ability to deal with whatever comes up, right?
Yeah. And having said that, talking about technical, I went to Moab last year and with a rooftop tent, I wouldn't do it. What's it called? Hell's Revenge.
Okay.
So I did that kind of by mistake.
You're a little top heavy for.
Yeah, I was top heavy. And
Yeah.
at that time I had a tent that was 120 pounds.
Yeah.
This one's 190 plus got my snowboard gear on the top and a solar panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't do it this time because I went up
Sure.
to Hell's Revenge and the guy from Warren, I forget his name, Jay, he was guiding me up and, 4-foot wheelie. And I
Oh, really?
saw the sky.
It's a mandatory wheelie on that one too.
Yeah. You know what? I thought I was going to flip over, but I was pretty slow on the, on the gas and stuff like that. But
That
pucker moment.
that Forerunner flopped in the gate.
Oh, did
did
it?
it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, a lot
I'm
of
not going
people-
to take the blame on it,
Yeah,
but
so,
he's
yeah.
going to point the blame at me.
But you know what? That's the one I wanted to collect a couple of trail edges,
Sure.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was Hell's Gate.
Okay.
We're just going through a trail.
Yeah.
But apparently, I found out later you could actually bypass it.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yeah. I'm headed to Moab in like 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Not my first time. I've been a bunch of times. So
Yeah, I love Moab. It's the one of my, like the first time I went, the thing that blew my mind about it was just how sticky the rock is. Like you look at
Absolutely.
something, you're like, there's no way I'm going up that. And then you start going up it and you're like, whoa.
it's like sandpaper.
Yeah,
Right. It's just
yeah.
your tire just grabs it and goes, which was today in the snow, right?
yeah.
The snow out here was just epically sticky today.
It was
I
pretty
don't-
good,
It
yeah.
was pretty amazing.
It's wild to me. Like my rig's pretty heavy. I won't say how much, but I'm probably the heaviest rig here. And a lot of times the challenge,
Second heaviest here.
Yeah.
a lot of the challenge that I have with snowpack in BC is it can be really wet or it can be really light. And like the more you sink in and
Mhm.
but we came out here and like there's, I don't know, we're looking out the window now. There's at least a 6-foot base. And the new snow that came in Thursday, Friday while we're here is sitting on top. But like it's mind blowing to me how when you just go real slow and you understand the control and how to let the tracks do all the work in the
Yep.
surface area, you can just go through everything, man. Like some of that stuff that Nick was going up, I looked at it and it's just like that experience in Moab. You're like, there's no way I'm going up that.
Right.
And then we follow them right up and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
these RubiTracks are amazing.
They really
Yeah,
were.
they
They
are.
grabbed everything.
So do you guys do any camping with, I know you have tracks.
Well, I don't.
Well, you
Tyler
don't,
does.
but the guy that you borrowed the truck from, anybody do camping with the tracks or is it more of a day thing?
We don't do, I used to do a lot of backpacking in the snow.
Mhm.
I've never off-roaded snow camped before. He's never used the tracks.
Yeah, you
ever.
did mention that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that
it's like
crazy?
brand new. Yeah.
So he bought it. He meant to put them on. He got delayed in putting them on, and then he had a baby, and he's been stuck at home for the last month almost.
Oh.
Hang in
now.
there, brother. Hang in there. You'll be out with us again soon.
Yeah.
Been there,
Yeah.
buddy.
And
Been
so,
there.
and he's like, somebody has to use these.
You put your hand up. You're like, I got this.
Well, so he let his coworker had a birthday like a week or so ago, and he
Yeah.
let him go out and use it. And then this is the second time that
That's
it's
good.
been out.
You guys got a good community down here. It's like good to see you all trust each other. But
Yeah.
I think what you're getting at is like the major difference that we've noticed between like the way that, it seems like you guys build your rigs and out here versus us is like a lot of times in BC, you're building your rig under the expectation that the route you're going on, you're going to be 200 kilometers, 100 miles out in the backcountry.
Yeah.
And like you're camping there, you're staying there overnight.
Yeah.
And when we put on the snow tracks, we'll go out for a weekend into the Alpine in different areas of BC.
Mhm.
And we're camping the whole weekend. Sometimes
Sure.
it's minus 25, whatever. You don't get a beautiful lodge like this one
No,
that we're
not
staying in.
always.
This is
So-
usually,
Yeah.
you know what? When we were coming down here, I thought, and Kyle, he's actually staying in his Alu cab, which is,
Right.
good for him.
I know.
Hey,
But,
it's my luxury lodge.
Normally we camp. We've
Yeah.
camped in pretty extreme conditions,
Yeah.
but I couldn't pass up sleeping in this lodge. This is
Oh, it's
beauty.
beautiful.
Insane.
Jackson Meadows Lodge, check it out. This thing is unbelievable. And the people who run it are super cool.
Yeah, they're rad. I didn't
wanna-
get to meet Eric, but he seems like a really good guy
Yeah,
too.
He does
really
seem
good
like a
guy.
nice
Yeah.
But I want to add that, the reason why I got RubiTracks is because last year I broke a hub and I broke an axle. We were 14 kilometers, so about maybe 9 miles in the bush, 4 feet of snow. And my wife, we were planning on camping.
Yeah.
It just happened. I had the chains on at that time. They worked for a while. Then I said, you know what? This snow is getting too deep to turn around. And then boom, broke the axle. And I don't know if everybody knows this listening. Gassers, other than the Mojave,
Aluminum.
have aluminum
Yeah,
cast
yeah.
hubs.
Oh,
Mojave
Okay.
and the diesels have steel. And that's one of the other things I did to
Interesting.
mine too, is after I replaced the housing, I reinforced the knuckles, I reinforced the housing because you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Any
And
of those
mainly we're
parts.
a little heavier than the average rig, I think.
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well for what we do. It's purposely built for
Yeah,
what we do.
absolutely.
But so now that's brought me to RubiTracks. And I did watch a couple of videos and I thought, Stellar built out there.
Yeah.
Dimitri, good guy. He's one of his videos made me, you know what, maybe we should get tracked. Now that we have the tracks, we've been out camping, do extreme.
That's cool.
It's pretty awesome.
You remember when we were first thinking about it? Like Duane was the one who was more excited about it first, and he was thinking about it. And he had a deposit down on a set, and we started talking about going out. And then like we were talking about which brand to get. Remember, like what I recall was we talked to Scott.
Yeah.
And that's what sold it to us. We were like, the big difference was Scott, and then to come out here and actually meet Scott in person, and
pretty awesome.
and more importantly, I'm stoked for him to get to see all of us using his product.
Yeah.
And the way that we're doing it and his mind getting blown, like that's to me one of the big differences with RubiTracks. Like we've talked to other brands, we know people who've bought other brands, even locally where we go. And it's, like there's only so much differentiation that you can have in the product itself. But when you actually meet someone like Scott who lives and breathes this stuff every day, and like I got stuck in the Alpine pretty hard on these snow tracks. Duane wasn't with me. I was with the snowmobile crew. And you know who the first person to FaceTime me was? Scott.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
Scott.
don't get better customer
He
service. than that. I've
FaceTimes
had a
me. He's
lot
like,
of-
what kind of situation are you in? Okay, let's talk about it. How are we going to get the track unflipped? How are we going to deal with this? And there's a whole video where I'm going through this process of trying to get out of this. It wasn't, I called it a crevasse at the time, but it was basically like a river and a snow bridge that collapsed. And he gave me the idea for the dead man's winch. And then, otherwise I would have been leaving my truck up in this Alpine overnight. And
Yeah.
you can imagine like my heart, man. So like that is an example of like, in my opinion, why RubiTracks is awesome. And also why this like trip has been rad, because you just get to meet everybody on the same
everybody's good.
program.
You know what?
Yeah.
I always joke around about Toyota. I'm a Toyota guy at heart too.
Yeah.
And
I know you told me about all your Supras.
yeah, and I like Toyotas. I just I like the fact that everybody gets along. Doesn't matter. We always
Yeah.
razz each other and we
Oh
have
yeah.
fun.
It's the
I mean,
fun
like
of
I
it.
said, I started off with this podcast and I just kicked this guy's butt in a Toyota. I'm like, yes.
I won't. We also raced, and we'll go with it. It was a tie, right?
Yeah, no, I lost also.
No.
I had you off the line, but then when I went to shift, you continued on.
So
and
it's,
you had
I
it
give
from there.
I should give you a head start because you were in a manual transmission. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked out. It was fun. But it was a pleasure meeting you guys. This was cool. Like the getting all the RubiTrack guys together. And I'm not
This is
even,
awesome.
I'm not a Ruby guy, but I'm glad I got to meet you guys. Glad I got to show off the Forerunner.
Yeah.
Let's say this is the largest, from what I can tell, track event around.
and most
Invitational.
knowledgeable. Like there's nowhere else you could come and learn from people like Nick, who has the experience he does.
Yeah.
And the work that he's done with Scott. And then and we thought we knew a lot about this, but we come out and watch what these guys do. And for me at least, I won't speak for you, but I think you probably feel the same way. Like we're learning so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me too. I mean, I don't drive that rig very often. I think I might have once or twice, and not on tracks. And the first time ever coming out on tracks and being with tracks or around tracks.
Yeah, you
and,
did amazing today. Like just
It was-
going through
well-
all of that tight trees and articulation and everything. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the articulation and twisting and things is fine, but I don't know. That rig is so freaking wide.
it looks so sick coming
looks
down the
badass.
line. It almost
But-
looks stretched in the videos,
It
right?
does
Like,
actually. You know what? It's almost like you put a
It looks stretched. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the fisheye lens almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. That's funny.
But you wouldn't fit that rig in our trails. That's way too wide.
Yeah.
We our rigs our trails rather are pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I believe it. I mean, you guys have a ton of foliage out that way for sure.
Yeah.
But one of these days I want to get up there.
Hey, let us know. We
On a
got
wheel.
BC on lockdown. You come up anytime. You
Sweet.
got our waypoints.
Excellent. All right. Well, Kyle, why don't you shout out your how people can get a hold of you or whatever handles you got?
Yeah. Instagram, YouTube. It's all High Ground by Nightfall. Not doing it for the clout, just doing it for the homies. And shoot me a DM or follow along. Love to see you on there.
All right. D.
Yep. Same socials, just Jeeping Adventures on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Kind of the same with Kyle. I do it just for fun. And if anybody can learn from me or I can learn from other people, I answer pretty much every message that comes my way. So I'm just another guy like the rest,
Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Awesome.
What do clouds wear beneath their pants?